The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. So, hello everyone. My name is Laurent, and Pete is with me today from Nestlé. So, thanks a lot, Pete, for your patience. We're getting to it. So today, what I want to share with you is the experience of composition in a large enterprise, and I will tell you how it works. And Pete will be sharing how he's been using composition for his business unit. So first, introduction of myself. So I'm a software developer. I used to be a software developer. I loved creativity that you can do with programming. And when I landed in the enterprises, I have been somehow disappointed of what's been done with IT in the enterprises. So I spent the last 20 years trying to solve this. And out of these last 20 years, I've been building this composition platform to address that. So it's about building IT for the enterprise. I don't know if I have a, yes, I have. So just to set a little bit the stage, so we'll not be talking about large ERP deployments. That's not something I know about. We'll not be talking about off-the-shelf solution. We'll be talking about custom solutions. So that's when enterprises, they don't have a product on the market and they want to build their own. So that's where we can help. So the need. When you're a product owner in a company, you've got pressure from your management asking you to be faster in your digitalization because the competitors are doing much better. You're harassed by the users because look at those Apple applications. They are so simple, and look at the crap you're providing us. Okay. And you have to increase productivity, data quality, automation. You need to put ChatGPT to production systems. And in reality, you need to do all these things, having less and less budget for innovation, all the IT constraints. We just had a discussion with banking actors. They know what it means. Data is everywhere in the company, but you cannot access them. It's spread around. It's in silos. And even the smallest project takes ages. So you're demotivated even before starting the new digitalization project. So from our research at Olympe, we know that the 70% of the time in a new custom project is allocated to things that have already been done in the company. So it's really a matter of reusing things. There are multiple examples. The best and most known one is how to do a single sign-on in an application, but there are many others. And 3/4 of the delays that you have in the deployment of the applications is the accessibility of the data. That is more complicated than anticipated. It's not always from a technical perspective, but as well from an admin perspective. So composition is about, first, reuse of the assets that we have, and second, about integration of the data that you have. So let's look first at the reuse part of what you have in the system. So here, Pete is working at Nestlé in procurement, so I've got a couple of examples linked to procurement, but that can be extended to many other activities. So creating a purchase order in SAP Ariba, or extracting data from an invoice PDF. Now, I remember a presentation before about someone talking about how do we make structured data out of unstructured data with AI. That's a perfect example. Business rules, you know, this type of procurement is more than 10K, so it needs to be validated by XYZ. Or I want to get the CO2 footprint of 1 kWh for a given location and time, or I want to get the sugar market price. So all these things are digital capabilities. There are hundreds, thousands of them, and they end up in the capabilities catalog. And then there is the other dimension, is the data catalog. In your company, you have hundreds of data sources, databases, systems, API, third-party SaaS system that you're using. And they have other languages or other data models, so it's difficult to compose them to each other. So what you do with a composition platform is that you will catalog all this data into this data catalog, which is a kind of virtual data layer where all the data that is connected to the platform is available in a standardized and compatible way. And now if we take those two dimensions together, you've got the capabilities catalog on one dimension and the data catalog on the other dimension. Starting composing them together, you've got the data of your company together with the capability of the digital world that you can compose to build new digital experience. A concrete example to show it. So here, we've got an invoice. Out of this digital capabilities catalog, you take a capability that is extracting the invoice information with AI. It can be ChatGPT or another one. It's not really relevant at this stage. It will extract structured data out of unstructured data. So you will get all this information from the invoice. Once you've got the supplier code and the product code, chances are that you have a contract somewhere containing the payment terms for this supplier and this product. If you don't, AI can help you build that, by the way. And then you can compare the date that you have from the payment term here together with the invoice due date that you have in the company. And is it an invoice that I'm receiving that is respecting the payment term that my procurement team has been highly negotiating with the supplier or not? Okay? So now I'm just doing a quick demo of this in the product. So I don't know if you see a lot, but that's within the product. Here on that side, you've got the invoice that is coming in. That's data in. What you want as a data out is do we respect the payment term with this supplier or not? Okay, or is the supplier respecting the payment term or not? So what you do is that you look into the capabilities catalog for this invoice. So extract data from invoice is taking an invoice and it's providing you with structured data on the other side. Then you've got another capability that is providing you with the payment term of this supplier and this product. And then you want to compare two dates. So that's this one. You want to compare the two dates with, together with the payment term. And now you have built the logic. And now by just connecting the input with the output, you have deployed a new automation in your system. And surprisingly, there are many invoices that are, a lot of money that you can spare by doing that correctly. So here, I've done a screenshot of this logic, and again, a small video uploading first an invoice that has a longer term than planned in the system. So you're good to go, so that's cache efficient. And now if you send an invoice that has a short term, then you're not cache efficient, and you will have issue with your banker and your working capital. Okay? So the benefits of using this composition is that you have a large reduction in time to market for the digital solution and a very strong fit for purpose because you can iterate around the needs. It doesn't take ages to deploy, so you can try and test. One subtle advantage is that you have one team to build the apps, and especially for large companies, that's a very strong way of accelerating. lower TCO, and higher agility. So replacing one of these blocks by another is not a big deal. It's much easier than rebuilding a solution. Oh, I was too fast. And the last one is that it's a good way to build a best-of-breed ecosystem. So you can really buy point solution and then orchestrate them through this orchestration or composition approach. Now, we go to Pete Becker. That's your turn. So Pete Becker has been very innovative and courageous to start taking a young technology into a large and mature company. And oops. So, Pete, I hand over to you.
Great, thank you very much, Laurent. So let me say for a start that it's an absolute pleasure to be with you today. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person. I don't see you, but I'm delighted at the opportunity to join Laurent in this presentation. Maybe 2 or 3 words. Well, do you hear me okay?
Yes.
All good. Okay. 2 or 3 words about myself. So my origin is South Africa. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade. After a number of years in industry, I got an opportunity to go and write software for SAP because I realized that I like building stuff, and building digital stuff is probably even more fun because you can do it really, really quickly. Spent a while in consulting, and then for the last 20 years, I've been with Nestle, effectively innovating within supply chain and procurement area. Looking back at my career, I've been quite grateful to SAP for 2 things. One, for giving me a job in the first place, where I had excellent mentorship and learned a lot of stuff from a lot of smart people that were there. And the other thing is for making such bad user interfaces that I've been employed for the rest of my career. And that's really where Olympe comes in, because Olympe has a unique niche in filling in the gaps between solutions where things don't exist, and you can do so with speed. If we go to the next slide. So I'm not going to talk you through all of these, but I'm just going to mention a couple of examples to explain and illustrate the very exciting journey that we've had with Olympe. So just looking at the Nestle examples there, we started out our journey actually in an area that was outside of procurement. It was in finance, and it was talking to the area that Laurent was explaining just a moment ago in the invoicing area. And interestingly enough, this was at the beginning of the pandemic when we realized that our suppliers were not able to send us invoices, and because they were not able to send us invoices, they were not getting paid. And obviously, if your supplier is not getting paid, he's going to end up not delivering you raw and packed materials, so you're not going to be able to manufacture product. That's obviously a big problem for a manufacturer like Nestle. And our shared service centers that were handling the invoices, that were not getting them because the lockdowns were disrupting the snail mail operations, they came up with the idea of digitizing the invoice by providing the suppliers with a scanning app. They looked on the market, there were a lot of free scanning apps, but that was obviously quite insecure. And so we decided to add some parameters around that. And not really having a concrete plan, I decided to call Laurent with a challenge, and I explained the challenge to him one Thursday afternoon, and what we needed, why we needed it, and more or less what it should look like. And was very surprised the next day when at midday he gave me a call and he said, "Your MVP is ready." So that speaks, I think, to the speed of the Olympe platform. So you just saw in the example of Laurent drawing a couple of bricks in the system, how easily this can actually be done. Then in procurement, later on, we tried our own first experiment, and we did that in a little bit of a different way. We actually crowdsourced the features that we had on an application we called AMC, the Approval Maintenance Cockpit. It's basically an easy way to hand back autonomy to the business to manage the workflow approvals. So what we found is that 20 years ago, when we implemented this global template, we had a custom logic, so a custom development in SAP governing who approves what purchase requisition for what amount, etc. And there was a bit of an ugly table behind that in SAP that had to be maintained by the local IT organizations. And the local IT organizations gave it off to the regions, who gave it off to the offshore service partners. who ended up doing the configuration. But ultimately, it was always the business that was saying that person one is leaving the company, person two is then taking over. So they would send us a spreadsheet with the information. So what the IT organization would do is they would translate this information from business speak into IT speak, and then pass that over to various different actors in order to get it done. So there were large delays, sometimes there were errors, and the stakeholders in the business were not happy. So what we said is, let's give this to the business in a secure and compliant manner. That means one country or one company had to be able to edit their data, edit and see only their data and not somebody else's. It really was around, the challenge was around putting a nice user experience on top of the table, as well as making it secure and compliant. And then using the Olympe approach, we were able to very quickly put together something that connected with the SAP backend via APIs, so using OData services, and then using this brick concept. And then it grew from there to gather scope in managing the workflows for other areas. But that was something that was effectively solving the unconscious problem. The business was not asking for this. It was something that we proposed to them. And then once they had it, they absolutely loved the idea of the self-service that this provided. One other area, perhaps somewhat related to the application Easy Request, where we have basically front-ended the purchase request and purchase order process in SAP. So put it back on the SAP backbone, as opposed to using one of the well-known cloud applications that they have, is that we start the process with what we call a sourcing form. And here we built a brick that is for the integration with the Ariba platform to create sourcing events. And we were able to create this under one area for services and indirect materials, but then later in another project, we were able to very quickly reuse this. So this reduces your development time, your time to market, by a factor of roughly 10 times, because there's not much you have to do. You just have to plug in the existing bricks into the logic. From there, I would say we have live about 6 applications, some of them quite critical applications running the Nestle business across the world, which is now managing around about 60 billion in spend, half of which is in indirect materials. So it's quite significant. We've placed a lot of trust in the Olympe organization, but given the skills of the team and the enthusiasm to support, I know that we're in good hands.
Thank you very much, Pete.
Over to you. Any questions?
Do you have any questions for Pete? Don't be shy. He's not a shy guy either. No questions now. So maybe after we I don't know, we have a round table at some point in time, or yes? So maybe you can ask me. Chances are that I know in the time. So if I just jump to the last slide. So here we've seen a lot of procurement-related activities, but we are active in the manufacturing areas. We are active in the maritime area as well, with a lot of IoT systems. We're active in the digital twins, so typically digital twin of the manufacturing operations, supply chains, in the luxury environment, surprisingly, and field workers system that need to communicate with internal legacy systems through devices that are handheld devices. So we reached the end of the presentation. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much, Pete, again, for your time. I know that you have been extremely busy this week, and you've managed to come for this presentation. But thank you again. And several people told me that they were looking forward your presentation. So that was expected here. And so on that, I can release you and let you go back to the business.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pete. Bye-bye.
Wish you a wonderful day. Bye.
Okay, so any question for me now that Pete has left the floor? Still not.
So
I'm happy to.
The use
Yeah.
cases that you've shown, are these use cases also used somehow at Nestle in that case? So on the last page that you have.
Not really. So maybe one. So digital twin, yes, and the other ones are other companies.
Okay.
So the composition approach is working for anything. The more the product landscape is scattered in the company, the more it has value because it will orchestrate things.
As far as I understand, you do this catalog of this capability bricks in that case, and these capability bricks are defined in the organization itself, or it is predefined from your perspective as tool supplier?
It's a simple question and a long answer, but I will keep it short. So there is a couple of thousands of them in the kind of global catalog. And with that, you can start very quickly to build things. But the real value of a composition approach is to build your own components. We were talking about single sign-on just before. Typically, each and every company has got its own rules around single sign-on. So what they do want to do is that they want to package these rules into a reusable component in the catalog. So over time, they will be building more and more of their own digital assets, and that's where the power of the speed comes really into play.
And the setup of this bridge, of those bricks, are code, visible code, or how it is?
So it's you can package any code into those capabilities, those bricks, or you can combine bricks together to make higher order bricks, like the Russian dolls.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the single item, the smallest item, is a code block.
Always, yes.
Okay. Is a code block that is then defined with input-output data. And
Yes.
And small technical workflow maybe in it.
Yeah, sometimes workflow, sometimes it's just data flow. Yeah, so event-driven data flows.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Any other question? I don't know. That's probably time to stop. Yeah.
Sorry, 1 more minute.
So, is there a question in 1 minute? No. The question may be, but the answer no. So, okay. No. Okay. So thank you very much. Thank you for your attention, and see you around.